We are here to focus this weekly training roundtable on mastering difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership. Please take a moment and write that down. Mastering difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership. So with that in mind, we are going to start with a power pose, the victory pose. So take a moment, put down anything that's in your hands and raise those arms up. And just feeling that energy of the victory power pose. And as has been shared and taught by Amy Cuddy, there are people who are born into the world blind. And when they create something that is of success for them, their arms automatically go up into the victory pose, having never seen this. Amazing. And now bring your hands into a butterfly hug from our last intuitive planning day, tapping that clavicle from right to left and left to right, allowing the nervous system to be supported and brought into a space of balance. Butterfly hug. And now taking one hand and sliding it to your heart, and the second hand sliding it down to your core center of self, your stomach area, the area that just houses the miracle of your vital organs. And now take that hand from your core center of self, bring it up to the hand that's on the heart, and tap that point in between your pinky and your ring finger. Further supporting the nervous system to be calm, to be open, and flowing information with ease. Now taking that tapping and moving it up to your third eye, tapping your third eye 3 times, stimulating that connection between the nervous system, the heart and head brain, activating your intuition, bringing that tapping hand to the top of your head 3 or more times, activating that connection with spirit, source, Buddha, God, goddess, whatever language speaks to you. And then bringing that tapping hand down to your ear and pulling on your ear 3 times. Opening to hear and receive exactly what you're meant to hear and receive. Bringing both hands back to your heart for a moment of breath, solid, strong, deliberate. Breath in and let it out. Beautiful. Allowing then your hands to float back down to your lap or remaining them on your heart if you choose, as we open into this space of today's topic of mastering difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership. Supporting the nervous system to just simply be open and present and calm when it comes to the consideration of this highly sensitive leadership topic. For today's topic, we are going to use the phrase difficult conversations. I know for some members, they've had issue with that phrase in the past. Other phrases have been introduced to support the same focus of difficult conversations. Highly Sensitive Leadership Training Program Plus member Regine Roy introduced to the Business Miracles community the phrase of courageous conversations as part of the anti-racist Courageous Conversations series that she and I co-hosted from June 2020 to June 2021. Brene Brown uses the word rumble to speak to what it means to have a difficult conversation. So use the law of adaptation, interchange language as needed if needed. It's not so much about the linguistics as the importance of the topic focus. However, again, for today, we are going to stay with difficult conversations. And that term, as best can be identified, originated with the book, Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most by Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen. The book was originally published in 1989, and the book came out of what was referred to as the Harvard Negotiation Project. The original definition of difficult conversation, which again, as best can be traced back to that book, introducing that phrase, the concept of difficult conversations into the zeitgeist. So the original definition, according to the book, Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most, that definition is anything you find difficult to talk about. That's it. A big old fancy Harvard project, all about anything you find difficult to talk about. What's added in further depth within the book is any time we feel vulnerable or our self-esteem feels as if it's at stake, or when the issues at stake are important and the outcome we care deeply about, or what is being discussed we care deeply about, or the people we are discussing it with we care deeply about. According to the University of Delaware School of Psychology, a difficult conversation is a planned discussion about an uncomfortable topic or a negative experience where the goal is to share different perspectives, build mutual understanding, and develop respect. So I want to highlight planned discussion, mutual understanding, and develop respect. The intent of a difficult conversation is not to persuade or win. According to Brené Brown, a rumble is a tough conversation or a meeting defined by a commitment to lean into vulnerability, to stay curious and generous, to stick with the messy middle of problem identification and solving. So I want to highlight here, leaning in to vulnerability, staying curious and generous, sticking with the middle of problem identification and solving. So why is it important for us to be giving attention, energy, and focus to difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership? Because especially now, there is a lot that needs to be said now more than ever. Please write that down. There's a lot that needs to be said now more than ever as a result of the exceptional times that we have been living in since March 2020. Personally, I've been having a lot of difficult conversations. And again, no surprise, exceptional times. I'm having difficult conversations with family members. I'm having difficult conversations with friends. I'm having difficult conversations with team. I'm having so many difficult conversations, it doesn't even surprise me anymore. Like, oh, okay, here we go, another difficult conversation. What's so key, again, about why it's important now more than ever is because of the implications of not talking have become extremely dangerous. Not talking is leading to a deeper sense of disconnection, a deeper sense of disassociation, a deeper experience of depression. And this is leading, and research is showing, to external experiences such as domestic violence, road rage, and mass shootings, and more. For us as highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders to avoid difficult conversations is actually disempowering. To try to overprotect ourselves from difficult conversations leaves us mute, furthering our experience of being unseen and unheard, deepening our experience of feeling outcast, othered, isolated, and ultimately, by avoiding or trying to overprotect from difficult conversations, leaving us victim to our highly sensitive nature, the unbearable emotions, as I spoke about on last week's training, on resistance. By avoiding difficult conversations, we are then living the limiting belief that unbearable emotions are your burden. And let's write that down. By avoiding difficult conversations, we are then living the limiting belief that unbearable emotions are your burden and that you must go to your grave having this experience. And in all honesty, most do go to their grave believing this and living the unbearable emotions cycle, or for us as highly sensitives, known as the highly sensitive coping cycle, which is you feel an unbearable emotion, you stay silent, you suffer with it, you do anything and everything you can to numb it, overeating, over drinking, overworking, over shopping, over organizing, any attempt to numb the feeling, AKA cope with the feeling, to then beat up on yourself for not being able to bear the unbearable emotion, to then numb enough to somewhat recover until you do it all over again. This is not the way of highly sensitive leadership. Instead, we want to choose a space of empowerment. We want to choose a space of V and V energy, visibility and vulnerability. We want to choose a space of confidently voicing our needs, our wants, our desires, our ideas, our inspirations, our intuitions. And we want to be doing this in all parts of our lives. As you choose the practice and the process, the way of mastering difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership, personal relationships will be less fraught, professional relationships will flow more easily, including conversations with prospects, organization and management of team, and overall full growth and experience of freedom to live and be in your life purpose. And according to Dr. Elaine Aron, that is our ultimate shared purpose as highly sensitives: liberation, not waiting for others to free us, but be able to free ourselves. So let's look at when to have a difficult conversation and how to go about preparing yourself for a difficult conversation and working through a difficult conversation. So in brief, again, going back to the original book, Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most, there are 3 types of difficult conversations: the what happened conversation, the feelings conversation, and the identity conversation. A brief description of each. The what happened conversation is usually a disagreement about what happened or what should happen. The feelings conversation is the invitation within every difficult conversation to ask and answer questions about feelings. The identity conversation is the type of conversation in which what's at stake is discussed. What do I stand to lose or gain? What is this impact, say, on my work, my marriage, my self-esteem? All 3 types of difficult conversations can happen in all different areas of life and business and work. What I want to reiterate is that a difficult conversation is planned and with someone or about something that you care deeply about. So again, family, friends, team, clients. A difficult conversation is not a conversation that you spring on someone. And you also are not obligated to have a difficult conversation that is sprung on you. So this is not about you challenging someone in the grocery store. And this is not about you being beholden to someone who decides to challenge you in the grocery store. It's also not about necessarily when Uncle Frank starts spouting his wild ideas during Thanksgiving dinner, that is the time that you have to rise to the occasion and have a difficult conversation. But mastering difficult conversations as a mark of highly sensitive leadership would be, maybe you decide to go up to or find the manager in the grocery store and ask to have a conversation about the way that customers are allowed to behave. Or you ask Uncle Frank or call him up the day after Thanksgiving and say, hey, I would be interested in having a conversation about this. Would you be interested in having a conversation about this? Let's look at what kind of results to expect. First is the 4 Ds that can derail a difficult conversation. And this is really valuable to have in your awareness. The first is denial, which is that the other person rejects the information that you're putting forward, claims it to be untrue, or completely shuts it down. The second is deflection. The other person changes the subject. I can't believe you're telling me this. I don't want to hear this. The third is disruption. The other person shouts, swears, sobs, goes into any kind of external drama. The fourth is dumping, where the other person tries to make everything about the difficult conversation your fault. Denial, deflection, disruption, dumping, all valuable to be aware of so that at any time in the midst of a difficult conversation, you can choose to stop. And then the benefits of having a difficult conversation: clearing up misunderstandings, gaining a better understanding of another person's perspective, needs, concerns, allowing space for your concerns to be understood. Ultimately, potentially finding creative solutions that will make the situation better. And the most important, developing the muscle to create whatever you want in your business and life. And I'm going to say that again, developing the muscle to create whatever you want in your business and life. As you master difficult conversations, the fear of not being able to handle potential conflict or nervous system overwhelm dissipates, and it no longer has a hold on you, your beliefs, and your behavior. Then you're able to show up in all the ways that you're being called to show up as a highly sensitive entrepreneur and leader. And that is the doorway, the muscle to create whatever you want in your business and life. So, how to support yourself with mastering difficult conversations? First, prepare. Remember, it's a planned conversation. So use the victory power pose, butterfly tapping, hand on heart, tapping heart, third eye, top of head, and ear. Use the reins it process, the should process, self-assessment before and or after. All tools available to support you to prepare. 2, practice. First, by showing up here in this community, forum, roundtables, one-on-one coaching calls, one-on-one private mentor calls, asking for support, asking what's worked for you, asking for a space to be held for you as you go into a difficult conversation, asking for insight on your self-assessments. And third, process. The art of mastering is a process that is built from prepare and practice. So re-listen to this weekly training roundtable multiple times. And definitely also as part of before you have a difficult conversation. And again, ultimately, what do you receive? Freedom, empowerment, purpose. That's the space, especially as we continue through these exceptional times that we are being called up into as highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders. Arms up. Difficult conversations don't need to be that difficult. Beautiful. Breath in and let it out. And with that, I'm going to hand us over to our community curator, Coach Lorna. Lorna, welcome.
Thank you, Heather. Hello, everyone. So the first thing I want to do is share about an exciting additional source of support for some of our members. As Heather said, where you can ask and receive for support in the forum. So I just want to let our HSL Plus members know specifically that they'll now be receiving some e-coaching support from the junior coaches. They're starting with that this week after receiving some expert training from yours truly about like when to contribute and really bring their particular strengths or experiences forward to support you. Of course, your main coaching support as an HSL Plus member will continue to be either me or senior coach Joelle, depending on who you are paired with. But I just wanted to bring that forward. I'm excited, and I think we should all give that exciting up level a round of applause. Beautiful. Yay. All right. The second thing I wanted to bring forward is going back to the teaching that Heather just shared on mastering difficult conversations. And I want to point out an example of someone from the community who has really stepped into a full year of weekly difficult conversations. Weekly. And that's Monica Kina. She's one of our HSL Plus members. You might have seen, yay, Monica, agreed. You might have seen some of her tracking posts about her weekly meeting with her husband about money and also family time. And those areas used to be a source of conflict and misunderstandings in their relationship. And last September, Monica had a call with me and Heather, and she committed to a weekly conversation with her husband to break the old patterns. And no matter how difficult some of those conversations may have been, or how challenging it was to be consistent in having them weekly and not just let them slide, part of the result that they're experiencing is that a year ago, they had over $80,000 in debt. That was creating some of this conflict about money and finances. And now they have less than $17,000 left to pay off. In less than a year, because it happened last September. It's only August. So, and the other thing is in her posts, and when she talks to me on our coaching calls, like she's so delighted with how they're interacting. I mean, they're just having a ball doing this now. So it's shifted from difficult, right, into, as Heather said, creating better relationship. But I think there's still sometimes difficulty being consistent. And so that's part of the formula and staying with it. But that is a direct result of their willingness to have difficult conversations. And Monica had to spearhead that because Patrick is not in this community with us. All right, so I just wanted to share that because I thought that was a great example and a model and evidence for us that it can happen. All right,